What is going on YouTube? It's your boy NevinTheBarber, and in today's YouTube tutorial I'm going to be covering a burst fade with a beard lineup. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and start off by putting in my first guideline using my black saber trimmers from Gamma. And these trimmers right here are cutting all the way down to the skin right out the box. This is actually the first time that I'll be using these trimmers, and shout out to Gamma for always taking care of me. Feel free to use my discount code NEVIN10 at their checkout if you guys want to save some money on their clippers. And I always like to do this whenever I do a beard as well. I always like to outline and clean up the flyaways before I get into the fade. That way I can just create a nice foundation of the cut. Now I'm going to be using the Gamma Instinct X clippers with no guard lever all the way open. And this is a modified blade from Eversense. It's called the SPX3 blade. And I would highly recommend not only the clipper but the blade as well. They cut very smooth and cut all the way down to the skin whenever you have them properly zero gapped. I'm going to follow that guideline using the 1.5 guard all the way open, followed by some clipper over comb just to blend up into the bulk and the parietal ridge area. And it's very important that you guys flick that comb out off of the parietal ridge bone, that way you don't cut into the crown area. And I'm going to use the 1/2 guard all the way open to erase that middle guideline, blending the 0.5 into the 1.5. And always remember that the fade happens from the 1.5 length down to the skin. So that's really where you want to put the most detail into the cut. And before I erase the last guideline, I'm going to go ahead and debulk my client's hairline. I always like to line up the front before I erase that last guideline, just so I can get more contrast on the C-cup area. But this is a really good gem right here. If you guys haven't tried this already, feel free to try it out, just doing some trimmer over comb on your client's hairline, and it'll make it that much easier to come back and get a nice clean crispy line. And like I said, these clippers are not zero gapped right here. These trimmers are right out the box. Sometimes I like to keep a soft trimmer just because some of your clients may have more irritable skin, so it's always good to have a soft trimmer as well. And last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and erase that guideline using no guard lever all the way closed. And just like that, I was able to erase that last guideline. And same thing with the back. I'm going to go ahead and debulk the back of my client's head, doing trimmer over comb before I put in that guideline. And you guys can see just how much crispier it came out rather than, me not debulking the hair. And I'm going to do the same thing on my client's beard, lining it up, keeping it as natural as I possibly can. And now that I have the right side of my client's fade done, I'm going to go ahead and bald out all the stubble down to the skin using the Gamma Uno shaver. And repeating the same steps on the left side of my client's head, I'm going to start off the fade using my Gamma Saber trimmers. And you guys want to be sure to keep this guideline pretty low. That way you have enough space to create your fade and blend out each guideline. And again, the discount code is NEVIN10. So if you guys do need some new clippers, feel free to check out the Gamma website and treat yourself with a nice discount. And just doing the same thing, cleaning up all the flyaways on my client's beard before I get into the fade. So now that I have that complete, I'm gonna go ahead and cut all the stubble down with my Gamma Uno skin shaver, just ensuring that it's cut all the way down to the skin before we get into the fade. And now with the Gamma Instinct X clippers with no guard lever all the way open, I'm going to create about a 1/2 inch guideline. I'm gonna follow this guideline using the 1.5 guard all the way closed, followed by some clipper over comb. And this is a very simple process. I'm basically just putting in 3 guidelines going up, and I'm coming back down, erasing them with the 1/2 guard and with no guard. So right here with the 1/2 guard all the way open, I'm gonna erase that middle guideline. And as always, I'm gonna line up the front of my client before I erase that last guideline. And the reason I do this is just to make the vertical bars and the C cups pop out, because sometimes they can get faded out, especially if you go too high. So that's the only reason why I like doing the lineup before I erase the last guideline. And you guys can see that I had already debulked it, doing some trimmer over comb. And just like that, it comes out that much more crispier. And same thing on the C cup. I'm really just using the corner of my blade like a Sharpie, just because when you cut the hair, you really can't go back. So you just want to go, you know, with light strokes, ensuring that you don't push the hairline back. And finally, I'm gonna come back and erase that last guideline using no guard lever all the way closed. And I did end up switching my clippers at the end because my other clippers died on me, if you guys are wondering. But these are still the Stylecraft Ergo clippers, which I would highly recommend. And just like that, with those few simple steps, you guys can see how easy I was able to execute a burst fade. And you really don't have to make it harder than what it is. Like I said, the fade happens from the 1.5 down to the skin, which is basically the 00. So as long as you guys are getting a clean transition from each guard, you'll be able to see a nice clean fade. And same thing with the back. Whenever I do a burst fade, I always ask my client if they would like it pointed or rounded in the back. Most of them usually get the point, which I personally think looks better. But nowadays you do see a lot of burst fades with the rounded back. And I'm just going over my lineup one more time. It's always important that you guys go back and double check your work, ensuring you can give your client the cleanest haircut that you can. And here, just using my feather razor, going up against the grain of the hair. It's always important that you guys go against the grain whenever using the razor rather than with the grain, just because when you go against the grain, you're actually cutting the hair out of the hair follicle, which is making the haircut last longer. And you guys can see on my client's beard, I really kept it as natural as I could, keeping it as high as I could on his cheek. And you guys always want to consult your client and ask them how they would like it shaped up, just because everyone may have a different preference. And for the top, my client did want to keep most of the length. He just wanted me to texturize it and thin it out a little bit. And here I'm just doing a method called slithering with my NevinTheBarber shears. And I'm basically just running the shears at a 45-degree angle along the apex ridge of my client's head. And with the beard, I went ahead and knocked it down to a number 4 guard against the grain. It wasn't cutting much, but it basically just knocks down all the flyaways and gets everything cut down to a nice and even length. And as always, I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this haircut by doing some shears over comb. And I really like doing shear over comb because it gives a different type of contrast into the top of the blend, which is basically the parietal ridge in the apex area. But you guys just want to be sure to roll that comb off of the parietal bone and the occipital bone once you get to the back. And here I'm just doing the same thing, finishing up this haircut by texturizing the back, which is basically the occipital bone of my client's head. But that is about it for today's burst fade haircut. If you guys learned anything in this video, please be sure to hit the like button, comment letting me know what you guys want to see next, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But thank you guys if you made it this far. It's been your boy NevinTheBarber, and I'm out.